All right. You're welcome to the big story, and we do apologize for that delay. We had a few hitches here and there, but what a way to take on the big story. And with me is Pamela Nalwanga. She is the Principal Public Relations Manager for UETCL, and she will be speaking to us just after this break. All right. She corrects me and says Pamela Nalwanga. For those who have, electricity in their homes, they know, the power comes through lines, and these lines are controlled by the Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited in Uganda. Pamela Nalwanga is here to tell us more about this transmission and the challenges they go through. We would like to understand, Pamela, give us an update of what you have been doing. Apparently, we see, very many lines. For those people who travel up country, they have seen new pylons like this thing here being constructed. What is going on?
Good morning, viewers. Like I said, my name is Pamela. Now, most people used to know about UEB. Now, UEB was disbanded and made into different sections or different agencies, and transmission happens to be one of them. Now, why I brought this model was to show you what transmission lines look like. Now, most people will pass, if you pass Masaka, if you pass up country, you're bound to meet a tower that looks like this. Forget about the cylindrical part of it, but the one on the inside with the different, now this is what we call pylons, and that is where we run our transmission lines. Now, UETCL runs electricity, everything above 33 kilovolts. Anything below 33 kilovolts is not for us. Us, we run everything about 33 kilovolts. We have lines of 66 kilovolts, which is Bujagali, Lugazi, it's only actually one line, but most of the lines we have right now are 132 kilovolts. What we do is we buy power in bulk. Now, when UEB was disbanded, they made generation, they made distribution, and then they made transmission. Now, there are so many generators in the country. You have Bujagali, you have Owen Falls, you have Isimba coming up, you have Karuma coming up, you have even small mini hydros. But the major issue is whoever is generating power, at the end of the day, it's only UETCL that is mandated to buy all the power in bulk. And then we do what we call it, we take it to our substations. We have substations across the country. So what we do when we get there is we have transformers that help step this power down from 132 to 33, where distribution picks up and takes to homes, factories, and everything.
All right,
yes.
Pamela, if I may, inquire to understand.
Yes.
You're telling us you only operate with 33 kilovolts and, and above.
Yes.
What does that mean? Does that mean that is power going to people's homes, or that is power going somewhere else?
Okay, now this is what I was explaining. Now, after generation happens, whatever is generated, we evacuate. We evacuate through these lines. Now, whatever goes on these lines is everything above 33 kilovolts. It is heavy voltage. So it cannot go into any factory, it cannot go into any house. So what happens is we take it to our substations where we have the capability to step it down. Now, what we call step down is we get it from 133 to 33 kilovolts, where distribution agencies pick up and then take to homes. Yes, that is what they do. But whatever we transmit cannot go into homes or factories generally. Yes.
All right. So what we also understand is that people who live close to, such pylons have been advised by you people to do one or two things. That is either to, leave that area, that is after compensation, or ensure they are safe as they continue their stay in that area. So part of the reasons why you've also come here is to tell us about your way leaves, the management, and the challenges that you're facing. Would like to understand what are the well leaves.
Okay, now what we call well leaves is, I'm still going to use this model so that people can easily understand. Now we have what we call the right of way. The right of way is exactly what is under the tower, which is completely supposed to be vacant. It's completely supposed to be vacant because we have got to do line maintenance on these lines. So we need to have access under the line so that our people who do maintenance can easily be able to access where those lines are going, because this pole does not just stand on its own. It has other pylons that it follows. So there is a line continuous. Okay. And we must have an access road in between these towers so that people can pass through to get clear to have a way of maintaining these lines. Now, depending on the voltages of our lines, if it is 63 kilovolts, I'm still using this. We are supposed to be having 5 meters right of way if it's at 66 kilovolts. So it's supposed to be in between, like that right of way, okay, whereby directly under the line is supposed to be 5 meters wide. Then outside the line, on this side, on either side of the tower, is literally supposed to be 5 meters, 5 meters still. Right. So in all, if it's a 66 kilovolt line, we're supposed to be having 15 meters complete, as in completely nothing happening there. We will come back and explain the activities allowed in those way leaves and what is not allowed. Now, like I say, depending on the different voltages. If it is a 132 kilovolt, we are supposed to, this is still 5 meter wide right of way, whereby it is a clear right of way, as in completely nothing in it. It's like a road, no trees, no nothing, supposed to be a clear right of way. Then on either side, supposed to be 12.5 meters on either side. It is 132 kilovolts.
All right, so yes, just like you're explaining this to me and of course the viewer out there, yes, I think would also like to understand if this information is always available to people who want it, because if we only have to wait for TV shows to learn about such things, I think it becomes a challenge.
What we realize, we always have way leaves officers and approaches officers. People from UETCL always go out for sensitization, to sensitize the public. But somehow we go to understand that even when we put these things in newspapers or on TV, people without the mode of knowing how far am I supposed to go, they still have those questions in there. So this was for people probably who wanted, who were like either stay in Kampala or maybe are not sure of what exactly way leaves is. This is for them. But we also go out to villages, we also go out up country. We do as much sensitization as we can. But the issue is people who stay under the lines, as much as we tell you, it is the most dangerous thing that is happening, because if this line comes down, it destroys everything in its way. It's not because we do not want you to inhabit this place. It's because when that line comes down, it leaves nothing down. It completely destroys everything. This is high voltage. So when we tell people stay out of way leaves, first of all for maintenance reasons, because our job as UETCL is to ensure at all times the country is lit at all times. Because part of our mandate is to ensure that it's national, it's a control or transmission control center. So we have to control national center, make sure every now and then we balance the demand and supply of power. Oh. So power should not go off on the transmission grid. It has to be on. And if these lines are not maintained, then something is bound to happen. Because if you don't maintain a car, it will definitely break down at some point. So we ask people to allow us to have our maintenance lanes clear, is so that our people can continuously do their maintaining lines, they do those maintenance works.
All right. Well said. What we also understand is that, development, keeps on coming. And as the country grows, you also keep on extending your power lines to various places.
Yes.
There are people, who have been living in these areas, and these pylons have found them where they stay. They have not gone to where the pylons are. I could give examples of people who stay under, high voltage lines. If you know Chibuya, I'm very sure you know that area. There's a substation there, and there are pylons that carry, these high voltage, over people's homes. In Mulagwa, there's also a substation there.
Yes, always been there.
So, actually, even in, I think Kasubi, somewhere around Kasubi, is it the somewhere around Kasubi? What happens to those people? Are those people you compensated and they did not leave? Have you talked to them, or are they even aware that?
You see, with the development in the country, some things have got. It's not like we're taking priority, but we look at the before we resettle people or before we put up pylons, people have got to be compensated. But these compensations have got procedures. We just don't come and tell people move. Okay. First of all, we have to look at the constitution part of it. What does the land law say about all this? And if a project is going to pass through here, we need to do assessments. What are we affecting directly and indirectly? Okay? Then we do what we call, we do what we call like evaluations. If people are going to move, okay, we have looked at what we're going to affect directly and indirectly. Then we involve the CGV and we are like, evaluate these people's lands. We approach the people and tell them this land is going to pass through here. Allow us to evaluate your land so that we can pay for it and pass here. It's like the way you can wake up and sell your land. We just don't vacate them without paying them or compensating them. We assess their lands and we compensate them for it. Then we call what we call there's verification of the PAPs. Making sure that actually the person we are talking to is the rightful owner of that land. They have the titles, and these are the people that we are going to compensate. Now you're talking about what do you do? I mean, the people have been living there, and then a project has to come, and they have got to shift. You see, we also have to put other things in mind. Metropolitan Kampala is growing. People want power. Right now, it's I think only 20% of the country that is lit. The grid has got to expand, and the lines have got to pass somewhere. So it's not like we're just telling people, move anyhow. We're telling them we are compensating you so you can move to a better place. And and what we do is we just don't just give you only money. There are vulnerable groups that we look at. We look at the elderly, we look at the orphaned. Those ones, instead of giving them just money, we build for them houses. We build for them houses and relocate. We just ask them, identify a place where you'll be comfortable, and then we build for them houses. So we just don't tell them, wake up, go, without doing anything for them. No, we take care of them. Yes.
Right. So for the so many people that live out there, and you have spoken to them, you have actually even compensated them. How many, probably years, or for how long, what kind of period do you give them to leave that area?
As long as disclosures are done, because after verifications, after knowing this is the right PAP, we disclose to them, this is how much your land costs and so much we're going to pay you. Of course, there will be some disputes. Mine was undervalued, mine was, things like that. But we have also procedures for resolving disputes. Yeah. So we also go through that period. But if there are no disputes, people get paid and they move on. So it does not take long. But also we need to realize that UETCL is not the only agency that needs money from the government. Because as much as we get donor funds to help us build these projects, we also get money from the government for compensations. And we are not the only people that get the money from the government. We have other ministries, we have other agencies who also look at the same pool of money where it is coming from. So if it's not about disputes, if it's not about, like some people, it is family wrangles. You accepted this, I do not want. But if all those ones are cleared out, people get paid. If money is released from the government, people are paid. Yes, so I cannot particularly tell you that it takes this long, but as long as all those issues are solved, people get paid.
All right, Pamela, so, all that is said, we'd also like to know the area of vandalism. We have seen people, climb up these pylons, even when they are well aware that they have lines on them or they they may not know that they carry power, but we clearly can see that, you know, there are lines passing through. So what area, you know, are you, or have you faced a lot of vandalism, and how are you dealing with it? Who is in charge?
Who is in charge of vandalizing?
Do you have anyone, or
well,
do you hold these people accountable?
Oh yes, we do. We have court cases. People get arrested, they are put in prison, and yes, we have some cases which are still in court at the moment. But the thing is, I wish I could just project some of this to show you exactly, but they can't see this. I don't know if they can actually. They will not be able to see them. But you see, a tower in itself, right from its foundation, works and everything, it comes to about 240 million. Just one tower like this. Now somebody climbs this tower and removes just a few pieces to go and sell for scrap, about 100,000. Literally, you're looking at 240 million. Somebody is just vandalizing just to get a few of these pieces to go and sell as scrap. Now, as long as you tamper with any of this, you bring the whole entire structure down. And if it's already wired to other towers, it brings like 5 towers down. And that is basically, it brings down, it slows down the progress of the project, it slows down the contractors, and people have fallen off and died. Somebody is climbing on top of a wire trying to steal something. We've had 2 cases, one in Kasese, one in Tororo. People have died. And we cannot compensate you because you're actually robbing us. But another thing people need to understand is, this is the property of the people of Uganda. When you start robbing these things, you are not robbing UETCL. You are not. This is taxpayers' money. So this is why we call upon the communities, community policing. You find a person like this, tie them up, take them to the police, because they are stealing your money. And most people who do these things don't actually pay taxes. Because if you knew the value of how much this tower costs to be put up, the manpower involved in putting it up, they wouldn't be doing something like that. But when cases like those happen and we get people, we take them to police and they go to court and they're in prison. But the biggest danger they face is these things, if they're electrified, you'll definitely die. It will shock you. And there's no surviving. Minus falling off the tower, you will die, seriously. But it costs us a lot of money as UETCL because, I mean, and then this operational cost of having to maintain these things every time somebody steals them. Yeah. You make sure that the tariff also goes high because somebody has got to find money to fix these things. So you actually, other people are paying for the crimes that some people are committing. So that's why we call upon communities, police your communities. If you find somebody doing something like that, just call the police immediately. If you get them, please don't kill them. Just take them to the police. Report those cases because, first of all, their projects are supposed to have a timeline to get finished. But when you keep vandalizing towers, they put up a tower, you vandalize it, they put up a tower, you vandalize it. They are shipped in for particular reasons, for a particular period of time. So when those parts are taken, someone has to find another part to fix exactly what has been stolen. So vandalism delays our work, delays progress. So it is something as it is, we are calling upon the public, we are calling upon communities, police your people. Stop them from climbing these towers, minus people dying. Minus people dying and falling off these towers, they're delaying the projects, really.
All right, as we wind this up, Pamela, would like also, just tell us briefly some of the projects that you're currently running.
Right now, we have Kawanda Masaka 220, which is running. We have Mbara Nkenda 200, which is running. We have Karuma Kawanda, which is 400 kilovolts. We have Mirama Kabale, which is 220. We have Karuma Oluyo Lira, which is 132, stroke 400. So basically, we have a lot of them coming up, Agago, Achua, there's so many of them coming up, really.
Is that all power to be used internally in Uganda? Definitely,
but we also do exports with other countries like Kenya, Tanzania. We only export, we don't import. But for Kenya, we do power sharing. Okay. It's because power cannot be stored. So at some point when we have a lot of power, we send to Kenya also. Right. So in case we have a deficit, they can give to us. So it's what we call power sharing. That's why one of our mission statement is, basically our vision is transmission for sustainable regional development. We're looking at the whole entire region. So we send to Kenya, we send to Rwanda, we send to Tanzania, we send to DRC Congo, and maybe soon we shall send to Sudan. Yes.
All right. Pamela there says it, and coming up is my opinion as we wind up the big story today. Well, so one thing for sure is that development is inevitable, and it comes at different costs. Very expensive or too cheap to, you can say, but one thing we have to understand and agree to the fact is that we need to develop as a country. And when people like UETCL, contact you and they tell you about a project they want to, pass probably on a piece of land that you have or you own or you occupy, it is very important for you to agree and see how that is going to help you as yourself, as a country, and your fellow countrymen. I think that marks it for today's big story. Pamela, thank you for coming today.
It's my pleasure.
Morning at NTV continues. Everyday Life is up next.